EuroBasket is fully underway, and we had big-time performances from Luka Donic and Giannis, as well as others. We're going to break down what it means in today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. Let's go.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
And welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. On Fridays, I'm your co-host, Jake Madison, at NOLA Jake on Twitter, and the host of the Locked On Pelicans podcast.
And I'm John Karalis, at John_Karalis on Twitter, host of the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Look, man, it might not be NBA basketball, but we have competitive and fun games with NBA players in EuroBasket, and we're going to continue the coverage right here with Slovenia versus Poland, Greece versus Italy, the big-time performances, what it means for the players, but also their NBA teams as well. Then I've got a real or fake for John that's going to be fun in the third segment, and maybe like very much, he might quit after this one. So I'm looking forward to it in today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. And of course, make Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen. Today and every day, we are here 7 days a week with our rotating hosts covering the biggest stories around the association. But right now, it's not even the association, John. It's EuroBasket here. And let's start with Poland beating Slovenia 105-95. Big, massive game, I thought, from Luka Donic here, where he finished with 34 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists. Went to the line, get this, 18 times, but no one else did anything.
No. This was a home game for Poland. Literally, they were playing in Poland, and you got big time, like a big time home court advantage. They hit 14 for 26 from three. Yep. They got 7 from naturalized Polish citizen Jordan Lloyd, who counteracted, basically canceled out Luka with 32 points of his own. And then you got, I'm going to get this name wrong, Montuz Pontica, who had 23 points and just a monster game. This is just a classic example of, in these EuroBasket types of tournaments, there's such national pride. And to have the big cheering crowd, like I love American crowds, but these European crowds, these international crowds for a tournament like this, with the chants they come up with and the energy that's in those buildings, it really is different. And it's a home court advantage unlike anything else. And they just shot their way past what should have been Luka carrying Slovenia to a win. They did just nothing they could do.
Yeah, 54% from three for Poland, just 35% for Slovenia here. Like, that's going to make a massive difference. This is a 10-point game. Like, if they had just gotten a little bit more or one or two things break their way, it goes to what what could have happened, what you just said of like, Luka is very capable. We've seen this with, at times the Dallas Mavericks before the trade, of him just carrying a team because he can be that special of a player here. But I think when you're basically, as you said, a home game for Poland, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah. And like they were down somewhere in the teens, and I thought for a second Luka was going to bring them back. You had a lot of turnovers, you had a lot of fouls, and Luka was starting to do Luka things, right? That the signature Luka crap shot from the left side, that left kind of at the break 3-pointer. He starts hitting that shot. He starts getting fouled and going to the line. It really, like, a lot of those free throws that he shot were in the last few minutes of the game. And I thought, wow, we're going to get a big Luka comeback story for our podcast today.
Yeah, that would be cool.
And I think what ended up happening is they ran out of gas, which, I mean, look, skinny Luka's not supposed to run out of gas, but I think he had to do so much heavy lifting. Like Lakers fans can sit there and be like, he looked great. Physically, he looked great. Kind of looked
he
great.
was also very engaged defensively, right? Like 5 steals from Luka is something when that's kind of been the big knock on him. And you can see him like kind of taking the criticism to heart with like his performance in this one. This wasn't just an offensive thing. You know, when you're playing both sides of the ball, it does take a ton out of you.
Yeah, and he was engaged. That's the difference between like Luka is big enough. This isn't like I'm going to use Trae Young as an example as my favorite. He doesn't play defense example right now. You watch a bad Trae Young defensive possession and he's just like wandering. He's like meandering, and it all breaks down. And guys, these elite offensive players can have a tendency to meander, but even Trae engaged is like, okay, maybe he'll jump into a passing lane, but that's about it. Luka is big enough, strong enough that if he's engaged, he can actually make a little bit of a difference and become part of a pretty decent defense. And he had like a couple of clutch steals. He had a one late that, again, that was part of that moment where I'm like, it's still 10. It was like 3 minutes, it's still 10. And he's making these kinds of plays. So, but yeah, it just wasn't meant to be. Poland was just making too many plays. So like, look, Luka looked good. He had his typical Luka kind of like frustrations when things weren't going the way he wanted to. He had Rob Pelinka there. He had Jeannie Buss there.
I was about to ask if you make anything of Pelinka and Buss being there to support him.
I mean, it's nice. It is nice, right? I mean, of course, you know, LA is all about putting on the show, and why not, right? Head on over there, and you know, it's an interesting kind of dynamic now with how this summer's gone. LeBron has been kind of like, hey, look at me. I'm still supposed to be like the head of the snake here. And there's no tournament for them to go to show LeBron this.
There's nothing to show love to him for right now. And look, I think you've also seen that, you know, Luka is kind of looking for that level of like support from the organization. You know, once Nico Harrison kind of really became in charge of the Mavericks, you saw him remove some of Luka's people from the organization and kind of create a little bit of a rift there, I think. And I think you see the Lakers realizing that and being like, let's make sure we don't do anything like that, and make sure that we are here to like support our guy and like show him and maybe get his buy-in a little bit more to do things like defense or be skinny Luka, as we've been calling it.
Right. You want to, it's positive reinforcement.
Yeah,
of
that's
behavior
a good way
that you like, right? Yeah. Like, hey, you got into shape. We love you for it. We're here. We've come all the way to Poland. You know, we didn't just come here for the pierogies. We came here to support you, you know, so let's have some fun, and, you know, we love you and you're our number one guy. And hey, he is the number one guy for the Lakers now. Like it is a shift from the LeBron era. Like LeBron is somewhere at near the end of his career. I mean, he's 40 at some point. It's going to end. Like it has to end at some point. And Luka is going to be the guy that's there for the long term. He just signed the massive contract. So, yes, of course, you're going to show him the love. You're going to show him that you're fully committed, because he's the guy that's going to have you buck the trend of what the second apron is doing to teams. And he's the guy that's keeping you from a full-on rebuild. So, yes, you're doing everything you can to show him all the love you can.
Yeah, it's a smart move, something they easily did do, and I think that can end up going a long way. We had another NBA star that shined in EuroBasket on Thursday, and that is Giannis with Greece, leading them to a win. Let's look at his performance. That's coming up here next in today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by Game Time. I love this. College football is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than the energy of a tailgate, being in the stands with your fellow fans. Only downside, trying to get tickets, endless queues, hidden fees, prices that jump at checkout. That's why Game Time is my go-to ticketing app, because it gives that advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees, because what you see is what you pay. I pulled up Game Time earlier. LSU Clemson this weekend. You can get tickets for really cheap. You want to join me for Tulane versus Northwestern in New Orleans. Great prices on what's going to be a big game. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. And thank you for making a Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. We are here 7 days a week, whether it's the biggest rumors going on around the association, whether it's EuroBasket, we are covering it all. So please subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Join us on YouTube as well and become an everydayer. That means you listen every single day to Locked On NBA Game Night. All right, John, let's shift gears to your country here. Greece beating Italy 75-66. Giannis with a massive performance here. But before anything, you can probably pronounce all these names super well, huh?
All of these. I got you. Who do you want to talk about? Giannoulis Larantzakis or maybe Vasilios Toliopoulos? How about Kostas Lukas or Panagiotis Kalitzakis? I got them all, buddy. I got them all.
I'm impressed.
By comparison, Karalis is the tamest of tame Greek names. I have a boring Greek name. 3 syllables? What? 3?
that was impressive here. I was like, I'm gonna let just John run with this segment here.
The whole thing, man.
But in their 9-point win, this was just all Giannis. 31 points. He had 7 rebounds, 2 assists. He was just really good.
Typical Giannis. Typical Giannis. He's just bigger, faster, stronger than everybody and kind of imposed his will. There's really not much to say about.
No, it's like that's it, right?
He did. The defense, the Greek defense was really good. Kind of preventing, like, it was close. And in the FIBA rankings, these are two. They're back to back. Greece is ranked 13th. Italy is 14th. So they're very evenly matched kind of teams. So this was kind of a close game throughout. The Greek team is a much different team with Giannis, and he did what I was thinking Luka was going to do. He just was too strong, got to the basket. Even when he missed, he was there for the putbacks. It was just kind of wild. He looked like somebody photoshopped, like AI. It's like put in the AI prompt, somebody that's like 3 times as big as everybody else on the floor.
Yeah, look, he scored almost half their points basically in this game, right? Like, this is kind of what you would expect from Giannis. Like, these type of performances from him where he can just completely take over a game like that are why you just still can't rule out a team like the Milwaukee Bucks, in my opinion. Giannis is just that good and such a game-changing kind of player that he kind of, sometimes the Bucks feel like an afterthought as they go through changes and are, kind of clinging to championship aspirations. And then you're like, oh yeah, they shouldn't go through a rebuild because Giannis is this good and you should keep going forward as long as you have him, in my opinion.
Well, yes, that's the whole thing. And I think there's been a lot of discussion, with the potential for a trade, and does he want to be there? I think everything that Milwaukee has gone through the past few years is depressing what people think of the team. And, if you don't have Dame and
right.
You're kind of like retooling around Giannis, but they're not Cleveland, right? They're not New York, but
agreed.
Somewhere in that, 4, 5, 6, because Boston is obviously on the downward slope. They're not going to be much of a factor. Indy,
we're going to talk about Boston next. I'm excited for this.
Oh, don't worry. I'm ready for it. Indy is no longer a factor. I mean, who knows what you can rule out, but obviously with the Halliburton thing, they're probably out. And so, yeah, Orlando, Detroit are ascending, but they are still young and they're in that trying to break through. That's still tough. And I just think Giannis is still there, still good enough, obviously, to carry the Bucks until maybe they can figure things out. The only thing I will say is he's going to turn 31 this year. And the style of play is a lot. And he has been kind of hobbled, from time to time. And like, how much of a load can he carry before it gets to be too much. And that's the thing about Giannis and why I think maybe some Bucks fans are like, yeah, this was great. Like, you put everybody in your back to beat an Italian team. We don't care because Greece is not going to make a ton of noise. Sad for me, in the EuroBasket tournament. They're not one of the favorites. Why bother? Like, obviously there's a sense of pride for your country and all of that, but there's a feeling, I'm sure, pervasive in Milwaukee where it's like, you already get to be banged up now. You're a big dude. You play with a lot of force. It's a very kind of brutal style of always attacking. 31 years old. Do we really need you playing a international tournament this summer? Why can't you focus on the Bucks? It is going to be kind of interesting to see if something happens to him this season, what the reaction is going to be in Milwaukee.
Yeah, so let me ask you this: like, where do you fall on NBA players playing in EuroBasket or some of the other tournaments, kind of in this offseason?
I'm for it. I think it's
so
fine. I think it's fine. Like, there is the potential for injury, but it's not like these guys don't play games.
They're still doing things in the offseason where there's always going to be potential for injury, right?
I think people make a mistake of, I don't see it, so I don't fear it, but you just don't know what can happen. Who just had somebody just had surgery. God, I just drawing a blank, but someone just suffered an injury and is going to miss the first 3 months of the season. God, it just happened to him.
Was what's his name on the Cavaliers?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm blanking too.
Yes. So anyway,
for us, but yeah.
Max Strus.
Yeah. Okay.
So, okay. Thank you. We got there. We figured it out.
We did.
Max Strus, he's not playing in anything, but he just suffered an injury and he's missing time. So guys play. Guys are always working. That's the thing about modern NBA players. There is a short window of get off your feet, go chill on a beach, and hang out and chill. Then they're back and they're expected to hit training camp in shape, ready to go. Training camp used to be where you played yourself into shape. Now, if you try to do that, you're called lazy. And so these guys are all doing things that put themselves at some moderate risk. This is a little bit more because it's competitive games.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. The game speed is definitely different.
Yeah, and there's hard fouls but look, we don't understand in this country the pride and what it means to play for your country in some of these tournaments. It means a lot. And so I think it's totally fine for them to play.
Look, the way I look at it, right, is it keeps these guys in really good game shape. The best way to be better at basketball is by probably playing more basketball, like actual games that matter, and not just drills or practices and things. So I think this can be a really good thing to keep some guys, not all of them, right, but some could use that to kind of sharpen them a little bit for the start of the regular season. I think for Italy, by the way, in this game, some names people might know: Danilo Gallinari with 8 points here. Nicolo Melli, who's a former NBA player with the Pelicans, finished with 15. He was the leading scorer for Italy in this one, but they didn't have much going on.
No. And Simone Fontecchio.
Oh, I forgot I missed him there. You see, yes. Ooh,
this is my favorite name. Night. My favorite name, Simone Fontecchio. It's just so great to
Current
say.
NBA player right there.
And the only guy in the league who's follow through on his jump shot is this.
Simone Fontecchio. Look at this. We got a comedian over. He can pronounce all the names. He's making jokes in this segment. John's showing his range.
All right, let's go. Now let's piss me off.
Yeah, I was like, so we've seen the humor. We've seen some fun. Now we're going to get anger from John coming up here next in today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by FanDuel. Football, the NFL, college is basically back, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. We've been running FanDuel on here for a long, long time. I don't think I've ever seen one as high as $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. I love FanDuel because of just all the different options you have. You want the spreads like Tulane -4.5 over Northwestern? I'm calling it now. absolutely jump on it. You want the player props, you want the futures as well, whether it's win totals, pick your MVP, your Super Bowl winner, you can do it all. And it just makes every game a little bit more exciting when you're not just watching your team, but you're keeping an eye on other things as well. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That is FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. And if it wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets over at FanDuel. And thank you for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. We are here 7 days a week, our rotating hosts covering everything you want to know about the association, keeping you up to date on all the biggest EuroBasket news and scores as well. But we've got a request for you. Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcasts even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes down below. We appreciate y'all helping us out here. All right, John. It's Friday. You know what that means, right? We play real or fake.
Is this real or fake? Just ask John and Jake.
All right, John, I saw this on Twitter. I don't know who to attribute it to, so I feel bad about that, but we're going to roll with it anyway. Real or fake? Anthony Simons is going to be the leading scorer for the Boston Celtics next season. Twitter said ahead of Jaylen Brown. They're injured. It's like a gap year from Boston. Let's hear it.
It's fake. That's fake, man.
It's so real.
No, it's fake. It's like, hey, listen. This is Jaylen Brown's year to prove that he's a number one guy. I know from I'm there in the locker room post game. I hear him say often enough how much he has sacrificed and he's team first and blah, blah, blah. He has said it so many times. It is obvious that he thinks that he is a much better player than what he has shown. Now with Jason Tatum out, Jaylen is in a perfect situation. He gets to be the number one guy without requesting a trade. He gets to be the number one guy and show, hey, you guys want to talk about the Celtics having a gap year? No. I'm not going to let that happen. You want to talk about the Celtics being a sub 500 team? No, I'm not going to let that happen. You think I'm number two behind Jason Tatum? No, watch this. And we'll see what happens at the end of the year. Maybe maybe it works and he shows himself to be a number one guy. And then he requests a trade because he knows Jason's coming back and he's going to say, hey, look, this has been real. This is his final year in the NBA in his 20s. Next year, he's going to be 30. This is the time for Jaylen to be like, if he has a great season, then he's going to say, I can understand him saying, I need to go play somewhere else. I need to be a number one option. Find me a team where I can be the number one option and spread my wings over these last 3, 4, 5 years where I'm at playing my best basketball. So it's
similar to James Harden wanting out of OKC to just have his own team and be the number one guy. There's definitely a thing to that, right?
In the sense, yes, absolutely. And I wouldn't blame him for that. So that guy is not going to let Anthony Simons come in. And if he's, first of all, I don't even know if he's going to be on a team on opening night, but let's assume he is for the sake of this. There's no way Jaylen Brown allows Anthony Simons. And I'm not saying he freezes him out. I'm not saying he doesn't pass him the ball. I'm just saying that Jaylen is going to be Boston's leading scorer unless something physically happens to Jaylen Brown. That's it. End of story.
As simple as that?
Well, I mean,
no.
Yes. I mean, I think so. Anthony Simons has shown that he can, he is a bucket as this unnamed front office person, executive has said, of course, yes, Anthony Simons is a bucket and he's young. He's 25. Okay, no problem. He's going to get out there, but he's so ball dominant. I don't think he's going to be able to play that way for the Celtics. I don't think the Celtics are going to allow that because they need that ball to move around. They need Peyton Pritchard. They need Sam Hauser. They need Derek White. They need all these guys to score. You can't have one guy have a my turn, your turn thing. So I just don't see, like, Simons will get his touches. He'll get his 16, 17, 18 shots, and he'll score about 20 points. But Jalen is going to average like 25, 26 points per game.
I wanted to ask you what you thought he was going to jump up to this season.
Yeah, I think he's going to be pushing, the potential for a career high. His career high is 26.6. He had a season where he was 24.7. Last couple of years, it's been 22 and 23. And that, you have Tatum, you had Porzingis, Drew Holiday, Al Horford. You had a lot of options. You had Pritchard off the bench. You didn't need him to do as much of the scoring, but in his overall shots were down. He'll get 20, 22, 23 shots. And he will certainly have his opportunity to set a career high scoring. I just don't see it. I just don't see how Jaylen Brown in this situation is going to give up enough for Simons to be the guy, because also, like, Peyton Pritchard is a hell of an ISO player. Derek White exists. Derek White is like the best pure basketball player, just fundamentally pure basketball player on this team. It's not even like just relying on sheer talent and athleticism. Derek White's going to have increased opportunity. So, like, you don't want to forget about Derek White on the Celtics. So no, it's fake. And I think they're going to give Anthony Simons, they're going to want to showcase him. So people like on, West Coast teams, like, there's going to be a Western team that's 5th seed, 6th seed, 7th seed. That's like, man, we're going to need some scoring. And Celtics are going to be like, hey, we got a scorer right.
We got a guy for you,
Mr. Bucket Getter.
So you had said that, right? Like, you were like, maybe he's not even on the team to start. How realistic of a chance is that? Do you think that he's not even going to be there on opening night?
I mean, I don't want
to. Because then it renders the whole question moot, right? Like, that's I think what's kind of interesting. That it's like, I don't know, he might not even have a chance if he doesn't play a game for him.
I'll put it to you this way: when a team acquires a guy with this kind of talent, you normally would have an introductory press conference. The Celtics have specifically held off until media day to introduce Anthony Simons, because they're not going to put him out there to answer questions and then have a last minute trade happen. There's still the Jonathan Kuminga thing hanging out there. The Josh Giddey thing is hanging out there. Malik Beasley with the gambling thing. I don't know how that's going to play out, but he seems to be back and teams are interested. There are some late situations that you don't normally see, kind of like an explosion of movement in September, but this year we might, with this restricted free agent stuff. If it depends on how those things resolve themselves, a team that misses out, or if maybe Golden State misses out and Kuminga leaves, they might turn to Boston and say, hey, what can we do here? Or some other team might turn to Boston and say, we're interested in Simons. We're looking to be part of one of these other deals. That didn't work. So there is a fairly realistic chance that between now and training camp, which is, we're a month, like 5-6 weeks away.
Yeah.
There's a chance that Simons could be moved before then. The Celtics are actively looking to move him if they can, whether it's now, by the December, early deadline, or the opening of the trade season, or the trade deadline. The Celtics are looking to move Anthony Simons for sure.
Look, we've also seen some bigger moves get done in September, closer to the start of training camp and media days too in recent years. Donovan Mitchell was traded in September, right? And that was a big, massive blockbuster. Like, you're seeing this a little bit more and more. So I think your point of there's actually a lot of things kind of unresolved. It might be quiet right now, but things are unresolved in the NBA. Is kind of an important, I'm going to steal that and turn it into the first segment of my show that I'm going to record after this. So thank you for that. It is a really important point. That also just means that all of our listeners definitely need to subscribe to Locked On NBA Game Night and their favorite team show, because Yeah, it might be the off season and kind of the slow part of the year, but there's still more coming, it feels like. And we're going to get some drama and some fireworks. That'll do it for us today on Locked On NBA and NBA Game Night, but definitely subscribe because there's going to be something coming soon. And we're going to be covering it right here like we do, especially on Fridays, where I'm your co-host, Jake Madison, at Nola Jake on Twitter, and the host of Locked On Pelicans.
And I'm John Karalis, at John_Karalis on Twitter, host of Locked On Celtics.
This is the Locked On NBA Game Night podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. See y'all next week.